Hello and welcome. It is April 7th, 2026, and exactly 12 hours ago, a deep space anomaly was verified that has a 0.0001% probability of occurring naturally. I am talking about the interstellar object designated 3I Atlas. We thought we understood its trajectory. We thought it was merely passing through the outer edges of our solar system, cold and dormant. But 3I Atlas just did something impossible. It interacted with the ice giant Neptune, and it did not just graze its atmosphere, it actively charged the planet's core. NASA's Deep Space Network, specifically antenna DSS-43, detected an unprecedented surge in Neptune's magnetic field at exactly 4:12 UTC. Picture this: a wandering interstellar fragment, supposedly made of dead rock and primordial ice, coming within 4.2 million kilometers of Neptune and emitting a directed electromagnetic cascade, a pulse so mathematically precise that it completely restructured the magnetic dynamo of an entire planetary body. Precision that tight, that requires control, that requires intention. Think about that for a moment. When you examine the data, the physics here is intriguing because planets do not just spontaneously generate global magnetic spikes. Neptune's magnetic field is notoriously chaotic, tilted at 47 degrees. But within a span of just 47 minutes after 3I Atlas made its closest approach, ESA's Gaia spacecraft independently verified that Neptune's magnetic output amplified by a factor of 400%. The entire planet is becoming highly magnetic, radiating energy signatures that defy thermodynamic laws. Let that sink in. We are witnessing an interstellar object act as a cosmic defibrillator on an ice giant 4.3 billion kilometers from Earth. The implications are profound. In all my years studying theoretical physics and astrophysics, I have analyzed countless anomalies. We often find mundane explanations: dust, clouds, instrument calibration errors, and solar wind fluctuations, but the numbers are definitive here. The European Southern Observatory cross-referenced the magnetic shift using the ALMA array in Chile, while NASA's James Webb Space Telescope locked onto the thermal emissions using its NIRCam instrument. Three independent sources, different methodologies, identical conclusion. The core of Neptune is heating up. Its magnetic poles are rapidly realigning, and the catalyst is undeniably the passage of 3I Atlas. Imagine throwing a tiny battery at a massive ocean and watching the entire ocean instantly become electrified. That is the scale of the anomaly we are looking at. What strikes me about this is not just the sheer energy required, but the focused transfer of that energy. There is no natural explanation yet. The physics here breaks down entirely when you try to apply standard gravitational or electromagnetic models. Before we speculate, we must examine the evidence. Right now, as I am speaking, the clock is ticking. This magnetic wave is expanding, and the object responsible is still moving. Wait until you hear what the instruments record next, because this was only the first phase of the interaction. To understand the absolute magnitude of this event, we must first establish what 3I Atlas actually is. Discovered on August 14, 2024, it was initially classified as simply the third interstellar object to enter our solar system, following the famous Oumuamua and Borisov, but 3I Atlas was remarkably different from the very moment it crossed the heliopause. Its albedo, or surface reflectivity, was unprecedentedly low, absorbing exactly 99.8% of all solar light that hit it. It behaved like a perfect, flawless thermodynamic insulator. For over a year, it followed a highly predictable hyperbolic trajectory. It was By all conventional scientific definitions, just another dead rock drifting silently through the cosmic void. But that was before its encounter with our outermost ice giant. Let us look at what the instruments actually recorded during this flyby. On April 5, 2026, at precisely 1422 UTC, as 3I Atlas approached within 87.63 degrees of Neptune's magnetic equator, the planet's atmospheric and internal dynamics violently shifted. The conventional explanation for sudden planetary magnetic anomalies usually involves internal core convection changes taking thousands, if not millions, of years. But what if our model is incomplete? Because within a mere 12-minute window, Neptune's upper atmosphere spiked in temperature by an astonishing 430 Kelvin. NASA's James Webb Space Telescope detected this sudden thermal bloom using its highly sensitive NIRCam instrument. ESA's Gaia spacecraft independently verified the massive structural deformation in the planet's magnetosphere using its onboard magnetometer suite. The Keck Observatory in Hawaii cross-referenced the atmospheric ionization using high-resolution spectroscopy. Same result. 3 independent sources, different methodologies. Identical conclusion 3. Atlas had actively bridged a physical connection with the ice giant. Think of it like a massive electromagnetic induction coil passing over a giant sphere of iron. The iron immediately responds, heating up and rapidly generating its own intense magnetic field. But to do that to a planet with a mass 17 times that of Earth, the energy transfer rate was mathematically calculated at 33 billion tons of TNT equivalent per second. That defies our models. There is no natural explanation for a biologically inert, 4-kilometer-wide rock to possess that kind of localized power output. The numbers are definitive. There is a 1 in 4.7 billion chance of this being a random alignment of natural cosmic forces. Everyone assumes these interstellar visitors are passive tourists, merely governed by gravity. The data suggests otherwise. Pause here for a moment and consider the sheer mechanical impossibility of what I just described. A small rock ignited a planetary core from a distance of millions of kilometers, utilizing an energy transfer mechanism we cannot even classify. First, the impossible thermal spike happened. Then, the magnetic poles of Neptune began to migrate at an artificially accelerated rate, shifting exactly 0.03 degrees every single hour. Now, the planet is emitting a localized radio frequency that perfectly matches the rotational period of 3I Atlas. Each event is more impossible than the last. And that is just the beginning. On April 6, 2026, at exactly 9:14 UTC, anomaly number 2 appeared on our screens. Hubble's Wide Field Camera 3 recorded a visible plasma tether, a literal glowing bridge of ionized gas, connecting the trailing edge of 3I Atlas directly to Neptune's northern hemisphere. By 1845 UTC, anomaly 3 abruptly manifested. The interstellar object's velocity decreased. It hit the brakes. Interstellar objects absolutely do not slow down when passing massive gravity wells. They accelerate due to the slingshot effect. Yet 3I Atlas reduced its speed by a staggering 4.2 kilometers per second, effectively maintaining its position within Neptune's magnetic influence for far longer than orbital mechanics dictate. From a theoretical astrophysical perspective, this requires active propulsion or an electromagnetic drag sail of impossible proportions. When you examine the data, the object is intentionally holding its ground. continuing to pump unfathomable amounts of energy into Neptune's core. This should not exist. Look at this data point. The gravitational pull of Neptune should have violently torn a fragile comet apart. At this proximity, instead, the object is structurally completely intact, actively resisting orbital decay. In simpler terms, it anchored itself. Even Dr. Avi Loeb at Harvard admits that the deceleration profile does not match any known outgassing or cometary behavior. When an institution of that caliber says that the standard models have completely failed, we need to pay very close attention. The consensus is shifting. Right now, as we speak, we are no longer observing a comet. We are observing an interaction. But wait, there is more. What comes next is vastly more shocking, because what NASA observed deep in the core composition of Neptune shortly after this deceleration defies every law of thermodynamics we possess. The real mystery starts now, and the implications could rewrite the foundation of astrophysics. Hold on, it gets worse. And then on April 6, 2026, at exactly 22:14 UTC, something changed. NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory detected an entirely new frequency of electromagnetic radiation erupting from deep within Neptune's atmosphere. This was not in the models. This was not predicted. This changes everything. When you examine the data, the physics here is intriguing because Neptune is an ice giant. Its mantle is a highly pressurized ocean of superionic water, ammonia, and methane. To suddenly alter the magnetic field of a planet this massive, you must fundamentally change the fluid dynamics of that deep subsurface ocean. In simpler terms, you have to stir an ocean the size of multiple Earths, and you have to do it instantly. NASA confirmed this at 22:30 UTC. The numbers are definitive. The internal convection rate of Neptune's mantle accelerated by 8,400% in less than 2 hours. Think about that. The energy required to physically spin a planetary mantle at that velocity is mathematically staggering. Wait, the internal friction spiked, the core temperature doubled. Impossible, but confirm 3 times. Picture the scenario. Imagine you have a massive spinning top filled with thick, freezing liquid. If you want to change its magnetic field, you cannot just shine a light on it. You have to physically inject a localized, massive electrical current directly into the fluid to force it to boil and churn. From our vantage point, this appears as a colossal planet-wide short circuit. 3I Atlas is acting as the cathode, and the 47,000 kilometer-wide planet of Neptune is the anode. The sheer mechanical stress on the planet should be tearing its atmosphere apart, yet the energy transfer is flawlessly regulated. The precision here is remarkable. Let me quantify this. The probability of a planetary core spontaneously accelerating its internal convection, 0.0001%. The probability of an interstellar object possessing an electromagnetic tether capable of bridging a 2 million kilometer gap, 0.000005%, both occurring in the exact same gravitational well, at the exact same moment, perfectly synchronized. Multiply them, the odds are 1 in 84 trillion. That is the equivalent of winning the global lottery. Every day for a century, in 4 million years of cometary observation, we have never seen this combination of localized energy projection and planetary manipulation. Consider the implications. The conventional explanation is that comets are just dirty snowballs outgassing in the solar wind. But what if our fundamental classification of 3I Atlas is entirely wrong? Everyone assumes this is a natural phenomenon, reacting bizarrely to Neptune's gravity. The data suggests otherwise. The physics here breaks down completely. The object is not reacting to Neptune. It is commanding it. Even Dr. Thomas Zerbushin, former Associate Administrator for the Science Mission Directorate, admitted that the thermal metrics beamed back from the ALMA Band 7 receivers in Chile simply cannot be natural. When someone at that level states that the laws of thermodynamics are being openly violated, when the Jet Propulsion Laboratory officially initiates a classified emergency telemetry lockdown, we need to pay very close attention. In all my years studying theoretical physics, I have never seen a dataset so deliberately organized. The electromagnetic pulse intervals from 3 Atlas are not chaotic. They are firing at precise 16 4-second intervals within 0.01 seconds of accuracy. The telescopes are pointed. The detectors are live. NASA's Deep Space Network detected the repeating pulse. ESA Solar Orbiter, operating on a completely different frequency band, independently verified the 16 4-second timing. The Square Kilometre Array in Australia cross-referenced the signal using ground-based radio astronomy. Same result. 3 independent sources, different methodologies, identical conclusion. The energy transfer is heavily structured, modulated, and mathematically deliberate. Imagine typing a complex code into a computer, pulsing the keys at an exact rhythm to rewrite a program. Now multiply that by a cosmic scale. 3i Atlas is injecting a structured electromagnetic code directly into the magnetic dynamo of Neptune. Pause here for a moment. A 4-kilometer rock is rewriting the magnetic signature of a gas giant. Before we speculate, we must strictly examine the evidence. The numbers do not lie at T-minus 36 hours from closest approach. The object aligned its rotational axis precisely with Neptune's magnetic north. At T-minus 24 hours, the plasma tether formed, glowing brilliantly in the ultraviolet spectrum. At T-minus 12 hours, the core convection of the planet accelerated. Right now, the clock is running, and the planet's entire magnetic field has inverted by 18.2 degrees. What fascinates me about this data is the sheer impossibility of the structural integrity of 3i Atlas. It is projecting 33 billion tons of TNT equivalent in electromagnetic energy every second, yet its internal temperature, as measured by the JWST's mid-infrared instrument, remains at a stable, freezing 41 Kelvin. It is not heating up. It is not melting. The energy is passing through it, or originating from a source within it that produces zero waste heat, a perfectly efficient thermodynamic engine. This should not exist in the natural universe. But what I am about to show you, and this is the data that prompted the emergency closed-door briefing at the Pentagon just 4 hours ago, because altering a planet's magnetic field is one thing, but what happened at exactly 2:15 UTC this morning crosses the line from a physical anomaly into something that challenges the very nature of our reality. The real mystery starts now. Everything I have shown you, the 3 core anomalies, the 1 in 84 trillion impossibility stats, the severe authority concerns, were all meticulously documented by yesterday afternoon. But we are not done. On April 7, 2026, at exactly 3:14 UTC, a specialized European Space Agency team detected something else, something not in any prior data, something that was not supposed to exist. The magnetic field of Neptune, now massively supercharged by the energy tether of 3i Atlas, began to pulse outward. But it was not a chaotic planetary storm. The magnetic waves are violently fluctuating in a mathematically perfect sequence of prime numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, all the way up to 73, then a precise 16 4-second pause, and the sequence instantly repeats. Let that sink in. A 47,000 kilometer wide ice giant is currently broadcasting a universal mathematical baseline. Consider the implications. The energy required to force a planetary magnetic field to pulse in prime numbers exceeds the entire energy output of human civilization by a factor of 10,000. It is a staggering display of localized cosmic power. 3 independent sources validated this. NASA's Juno team, temporarily repurposing deep space sensors, verified the sequence. The AMA Observatory confirmed the frequency shift is identical conclusions. If this is somehow a natural harmonic resonance, then fluid dynamics are fundamentally broken and planetary cores can spontaneously generate prime mathematics. If this is a localized quantum entanglement effect, then our entire model of astrophysics requires a total rewrite. But here is what keeps astrophysicists awake at night. If this is the intentional manipulation of a planetary dynamo to act as a solar system scale beacon, then we are completely redefining our place in the universe. Within exactly 4 hours of this sequence verification, NASA did something unprecedented. They initiated a complete Level 5 telemetry lockdown on the Deep Space Network's DSS-43 antenna. In 65 years of modern space exploration, that has happened rarely, if ever. That alone tells you the absolute magnitude of what we are dealing with today. And we are not finished, because the data I'm about to show you in the final section, this is where it gets truly inexplicable. Let us establish what we know with absolute certainty. Force I Atlas successfully altered the magnetic core of Neptune at 412 UTC minus the 1 in 84 trillion probability proves this defies natural celestial mechanics. NASA and ESA have independently confirmed the massive thermal and magnetic spikes. The planet is currently broadcasting prime numbers through its amplified magnetosphere. And these are not theories. These are documented observations. But one question remains entirely unanswered. One question that NASA's emergency briefing carefully avoids. What is powering the continuous electromagnetic tether inside an object that remains at a freezing 41 Kelvin? Because the answer determines everything. If it is a new state of exotic ice, then our understanding of thermodynamics is revolutionized, but safe. If it is a relic of primordial physics, then we face a paradigm-breaking reality. And if it is an active, directed technology, then we are witnessing the activation of interstellar infrastructure right in our solar system. There is no middle ground. One of these is our reality. And the clock is running. Right now, as you watch this, the James Webb Telescope is collecting data. Every single hour brings new observations. The telescopes are pointed. The detectors are live. The data stream is active. SEN Atlas is holding its position. The prime sequence signal is ongoing. And whatever it is trying to communicate, Earth is listening